I call it the six silent killers because these things do happen, but it's not well acknowledged within a customer environment outside of the people that are actually dealing with this, day in and day out. Right? What we see with cloud adoption and then the change in data protection strategy that goes with your journey to cloud is one. I think you're just starting with console chaos, right? How many of us have heard of single pane of glass being the big driving factor around data protection for a while, right? But we kind of got there only for cloud to kind of create this chaos around how many consoles I need to manage. Um, and then you have a lot of API and automation sprawl. You're a multi-cloud user and you're using 8 or 10 services in each of these clouds, there's really no solution in the market that can address all of these things. Of course, unless you're considering Haiku, is you have a lot of API and automation sprawl teams are dealing with just to be able to say, hey, I can protect this data and have that peace of mind in a world of cyber attacks every day, right? And and even after you do all of this, you realize that some of the DBaaS and PaaS services just don't have the right level of support for databases and those services. So your crown jewels don't end up getting protected, right? And we rely on the fact that the cloud provider offers 4 nines of availability or 5 nines of availability, but availability is not backup. And when you actually are down and when you need that backup, not having that is not going to be a cloud vendor's problem. It's still your problem. And everybody knows about the highway robbery in terms of the exit tax that happens, right? Storing data in cloud is incredibly efficient. Trying to get that data out to create a risk management profile that says, hey, even if I had an extended outage in one cloud vendor, I've got this running in another cloud vendor. That is just not reality because of, again, that egress tax trap that, again, no one acknowledges, but there are ways to get outside of that trap. And the final couple of things that I want to highlight is the storage swell. Deduplication is considered table stake features, on-prem, right? And what you see in cloud is you may have a low cost to back up something upfront, but where you are ending up paying a lot of those bills are because that data is stored very inefficiently in the back end. So it just keeps getting bloated and bloated and bloated to a point where your FinOps angle is really trying to rein in its spend. And what do you do all this for? To have actually compromised recovery options. Granular recovery, problem. DR, problem. You got to do something else. Oh, if you do archival and try to read from that data, problem. It's going to cost you 10 times more to read backup from a cold line tier than it would be in nearline storage, right? All of these are the hidden silent costs because, again, maybe at the layer of a person dealing with this day in and day out, there is understanding, but in the rest of the organization, it's just not very well understood.
Something that's well put. We've all gone through the exercise of, DIY is what I would call it when it comes to a single cloud vendor. That's not even accounting for the multi-cloud side. But, if you were to sit here, somebody who is on the IT side or a cloud architect or even an SRE, and they're responsible for this, what's some of the advice and what are some of the things that they have to explicitly watch out for as we look at this growing amount of hidden costs?
Yeah, look, I think you call it DIY. I say it's kind of like settling for IKEA furniture, right? Yes, you're going to get something that's going to fill your need, but it's going to look very black box. You're going to have to do a lot of effort to put these things together, and you're spending a lot of time and energy in this when you could be doing things that actually drive your business forward, right? So what you're seeing is a heavy investment in automation and automation sprawl. And not being able to catch up because every day there's a new API and there's a new service that is getting attempted. So you're doing a lot of heavy investments building a solution and you're still not catching up to it. And what you so is even if you do invest in creating that backup and restore, you still have automation gaps in terms of reporting and monitoring and compliance ensuring compliance and moving it from one tier to another tier. There is just so much that needs to be done in the back end. You don't want to be one using 8 backup products, but even if you're not doing that and you're just kind of automating it, you don't want to be writing 8 backup products in the first place, right? And that is the hidden cost of doing data protection and DIY for backups in the cloud.
And Satya, when folks answered in the poll, there were a couple folks who answered that they were leveraging more than 8 data protection solutions. But many of the times when I have this conversation and people answer that question, they're only referencing things that they buy. They're not referencing the fact that they have a homegrown, essentially customized backup solution that they have to build, maintain, and have a full life cycle. And something that you mentioned, Satya, that's very important that I don't want it to get lost here is this is an extensive amount of time required to build, and it's a bit of a Rube Goldberg machine. For example, if you want a alert on something, if you want to have an automation, you have to go and build all of this out, but you still don't have granular recovery. You don't have cross-regional recovery built in. These are all additional things that you have to continue building as a bit of a spaghetti monster. But what I want to acknowledge here too is there's a couple of folks who answered and said they're already running full prod in the cloud. So this conversation is very relevant. But many folks who are running on-prem environments and public cloud, you start to now see not only the hidden cost, the time, the energy that you're spending on-prem, but also these pitfalls when it comes to public cloud, especially if you're using multiple clouds, which will be the case, especially as we talk about AI